Hi there, once again, welcome back to this channel, and this is lesson number 28 of learning HTML and CSS. And in this lesson, we are going to learn about CSS float layout and clear. So, first of all, CSS float. This CSS float property is used to position or format the layout of our web page, whereas we also learned about some different other layouts that we can use inside our document to format it. So this is one of them. So this float one is used in a bit of different way. It is most commonly, or the most simple example of this float would be that if you want to align an image inside a text. So for example, there are different types of float which we can give as value for this float type. The first one is the left float. In this left float, the object that is given the float type, which is given the value of left to the float attribute, is float does go to the left side of a container, and all the other contents inside that container are moved towards the right side. Whereas in right, the opposite is done. The element which is having the float property of right moves towards the right side, and other elements are moved towards the left side of the container. Whereas in none, which is the default value, none of the float properties is applied to the object. It remains and is rendered inside our document according to simple layout or simple sequence of elements. Whereas in the inherit property, the element inherits the float value from its parents. It gets or behaves accordingly to the float value of its parent. So let's see some examples of it. Whereas in this example, you can see that an image is floating towards the right side. We have given it the float right. So let us see its example inside our editor. So right here inside, I am in our editor, and this is lesson number 28's file, whereas all the other files of other lessons are present right here. If you want them, then you can get them in their respective lessons as well. So this is lesson number 28, and I have created a basic boilerplate of HTML, and inside this I am going to create a new div, and inside this div I am going to write a bit of text and to show you example, and I am going to create an image. And right here we don't want this alt tag, we are just practicing it. So inside this style tag I am going to give this image the float property of right, which means that move this image towards the right, give it the right property. So let us see inside our browser how does it look. So right here, as you can see, the image has just floated towards the right side, and after float right comes to our next property. There comes our next property, which is float left. As you can see in its example, that the image has just floated towards the left side of the container. So let us see it as in IDE as well. So if I give it float left rather than float right, so you can see that the image has moved towards the left, or floated towards the left of the container. Whereas in float value none, in that none of the float is applied to that particular element. So let's test this one out as well. So if I give none as value of float, you can see it is just behaving like there is no float applied here. This is our div and this is our image. They are just inline, so they are just passing and coming right here in a simple way. So after float, so let us see some examples of float as well. And in this example, we have taken 3 divs and placed it's in such a way so that you can understand what does actually float do. Right here, let's just comment it and create 3 new divs. Let us create it other way. And this div, I would give it the class of div1 and text of div1. The same way, let us just copy it and paste it 3 times so that we may use them inside our examples. And as you can see, this is the simple way or simple layout with float none, which is the default value of float property. So they are just block elements. Let us give them some background as well. so that we may visualize them. So background color orange, and same I will do the same for other two. For div 2 I'm going to give it purple. For div 3 let's give it green. Right here, as you can see, they are block type of element. So right inside here, for each div I'm going to give each div the height of 100 pixels. Not actually height, I am simply going to give these divs, all these three divs, a property of float to left. So then let us see that how does it influences our style. Right here, as you can see, they have got the float property, and we have given them the value of left, so they are aligned left, and other than that you can see that they are just now containing the width according to their content only. So after this example, we are going to move towards our next property, which is clear property. Actually, a clear property is used to specify that what would happen to the element that comes next inside the order after the element on which the property is applied. So these are different values that we can pass inside clear property. These are none, which is by default there, and it means that do nothing, or just do it according to the float value we have passed. And in left, the element is floated or moved towards the bottom of the left floated element, mean the element which is having the float value of none of left, it just moves below that. And in right, the opposite happens, that the element moves below the element that is having float value of right. Whereas in both value, the value which is named as both, the element is pushed below both left and right floated elements, and inherit is the same, it inherits the value from its parent. So let us see it for clear left. Sorry for the mistake. And in clear left, right here, as you can see, we have given these divs the float of left. So if I go here and go to div 1, sorry, not div 1, let us check it on div 2. So right here in this example, in our browser, you can see these are aligned to left side one after another in a sequence. So if I give it clear of left right here, that move it below the element which is having the float left. And if I give it float right, it won't move anywhere because there is no element having the float right property. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked the video and understood the concept that we wanted to teach you. And if you did, press the thumbs up button. Thank you for watching the video. Goodbye.